Well, I want to share my thoughts with you about the game, but before I get into it just a little bit, I want to make something perfectly clear. I'm being as transparent as can be. I'm not a shill. I'm not sponsored by anybody. It's never going to happen because I shit on everything where it deserves to be shat on, and I'll praise it where it deserves to be praised. Overall, I'm happy with my purchase. Get that out of the way. I bought the early access. And overall, despite its shortcomings, I'm happy I got it. So that's the main takeaway. The first thing I wanted to show you that I don't like, because I want to highlight all of those things so that you can make an informed decision as to whether or not you want to buy the game. I have, for example here, my speeder, my motorcycle. This car crashed, as you could see, into this biker. So the AI is really, really dumb when it comes to them driving. When it comes to them walking, they're not so bad. So what? This person's just like, forget it. I'm just going to turn around and... You couldn't have just... That just proved my point. I'm so happy that happened. They're just gone. But some of the older GTA games, what would have happened is... They just would have kept crashing into you. Now watch what happens when I move out of the way. See? Now they'll resume. Essentially, their path on the road is very, very strict, so they can have very odd behavior. So I think in terms of just like the overall gameplay, when it comes to the AI on the road, it's dumb. But if you ignore that, which you can easily do, I'm in performance mode on the PS5 just going around. If you look now at a positive point, you look at that rendering, you look at the draw distance, whether you're on quality or performance. Obviously on PC it's going to be different because it could be more powerful. It's really, really good. Like, I mean, it's really good. There's nothing jarring about, textures just randomly popping in and out at a normal distance. Speaking of the Speedster and control movement, I find the movement overall to be pretty decent. Like it's good. It's good. If I were to compare it to, and I have to go there, Fallen Jedi, the one with Cal that came out like a year ago, Star Wars Fallen Jedi Survivor. There was two of them. I hated the first one, but the second one, I find his movement maybe a smidgen a little bit better. I also like characters that are perfectly centered in the middle of the screen. That's a bit of a pet peeve of mine. So the white dot is the middle. She's a little bit off to the side. That's a thing a lot of games have adopted. Again, I'm just making observations. Whether you think they're a negative or a positive is up to you. And then when you aim, it's a pretty decent angle where it zooms you in over the shoulder. You can actually see your gun. Her elbow is kind of down. I've seen some games where the elbow's like completely out. You can't tell if she's holding a dildo, a rocket launcher, or a toothpick because the elbow is blocking the view. You can't even see what's in front of you, sort of like GTA San Andreas. So the controls are good. Like, you're not going to be like, ooh, this is sluggish. It's very responsive. You have a lot of options for inner, outer dead zone. Sensitivity, like, it's really good. I'm just saying that Star Wars Fallen Survivor, whatever, it just a slight notch better for me. When it comes to the bike, you can also change with the right stick how fast you're going to move from left to right. I haven't been able to find one to change the left stick. So what'll end up happening is you'll be going around, and I just find it's like, whoa, it's really fast. Then you're like turning a bit slower, maybe with the right stick. And then you're turning. And sometimes if you're doing it like really fast, it could be slightly jarring because it'll go like that, and then all of a sudden it just shoots you really quick back and front. I do think you can change that setting so that it doesn't follow behind you. So like, for example, if I do this, I think it'll just stay like, no, see, it just did it on its own now. Again, minor detail. In terms of the overall performance of the game, sorry, let me just figure out where I'm going here, because this is a new save. So let's talk about that. If you were an early adopter and you played the game on PS5 on the original base game, I'm talking like 1.000.000, and I had gotten about, I don't know, 10, 12 hours of gameplay in, you're advised, and I got advised right from Ubisoft. They contacted me, and I felt special until I found out they contacted almost everybody else that was an early adopter to basically restart from scratch. So the update wouldn't properly apply to your current save. Okay? So you had to start over to ensure that you wouldn't get progression blocked much later. So I lost about 10, 12 hours of gameplay, but I would hate to be like, nah, I should be fine. Because I did get a glitch whereby I was supposed to sneak out at the very beginning. I'm not going to give any spoilers. There's a part where you got to sneak out. And you got to make sure you're not detected. I wasn't being told to sneak, and I wasn't getting detected. I had no objectives. It was completely blank. And that was loading up my save after the game updated. So I went back to a prior save by only 10 minutes. And it worked and carried me through for almost 12 hours. Then I got the email and I went, uh-oh. Fine. So now I'm starting all over again. But here's some positives from my second playthrough in the beginning. The game is performing better. There's a lot less stutters. There's a lot of stuttering mainly when you were in town, not in the big open world, funny enough. So that actually worked out pretty good. And I was really, really happy about that. Because it still wasn't enough for me to complain about. It's like, well, it's Ubisoft. I didn't want to just shit on them because it's Ubisoft, because that seems to be the cool thing to do. And to be honest with you, oftentimes, rightfully so. However, in the end, I do find myself to be a little bit of a fanboy of theirs. Because I love their Watch Dogs, their Assassin's Creeds, and just their games overall. I really like Ubisoft games. I really, really do. But I am definitely angry and annoyed with some of the BS that we have to put up with from them for such a big company. And it just seems like we deal with less BS from companies like Rockstar. But then again, Rockstar pumps out a game once or twice every decade compared to Ubisoft. So anyhow, let me just go and do this really quick here. The burst, is that even what I was supposed... I think so. Sure. Another negative that I have to point out, there is a place where you get your pre-order content or your ultimate content or your gold content, just anything that's considered bonus content.
Whew,
okay?
Haven't done that in a while.
What happens
Doctor,
with it
my
is...
blaster's good to go. You gonna
if
give
you
me
go
that job
offline...
Yeah.
those items get removed from your inventory. Okay? You have to do the Trailblazer quest. Sorry, the New Tricks quest. And then once you do that, I'll actually have a link down below in the description box to a website here that I had been referencing. There is what's called a delivery crate on a bench in the Trailblazer's cargo hold. And that is where you get, like I said, any of the bonus content. However, when you go offline, it gets removed from your inventory. So you could be halfway across the... Now, there's fast travel.
I can do that.
Okay? There's fast travel. You have to keep going back there. Now, you could say, well, how often are you going to go offline? 2024. I had a whole argument. Everybody was downvoting me on Reddit. I don't give a shit. The point is I do lose internet sometimes momentarily, even though I live in an upper scale, middle class neighborhood that was built in the last 20 years and been upgraded with the fiber optic and all that shit. The reliability isn't there compared to where I lived 20 years ago. But that's why that is just not really a valid argument to tell someone, well, 2024, I don't care what year it is. I'm having more problems now. Like I said, again, this may or may not be an issue. Most of the time I am connected to the internet, so you're probably never even going to notice a goddamn thing, but I'm still mentioning that detail because it's still fucking stupid. You go offline, she goes naked. You lose your pants, your belt, and your shirt. You don't think that's weird? And then when you go online, you got to go back to equip it back on again? It just seems a little bit bizarre because initially... you couldn't load this game without an internet connection. You needed to be connected to the internet. And then people were arguing with me on Reddit. They're like, well, it says on the box. Yeah, what does it say on the box, Einstein? You need an internet connection to install the game. My game is digital. It had to have been installed online, and I loaded up the game that first time to get the update from the servers, but that's not the update you needed, because when 1.000.002 came out, what ended up happening was you can now load the game offline. But if you're on disc, if you buy the disc, you run off to your house and you don't have internet, you are not playing this game. I'm sorry, but you don't think that's worth mentioning in any capacity whatsoever? I think it's worth mentioning. Might not be a big deal to you. Hell, for me, most of the time, it's not a big deal. But just like an Xbox. If you have an Xbox, you buy it, you go home, you go to put a disc in, and you go to play the game, you're not playing the game. You need to log into your Microsoft account first, whereas with PlayStation, you don't have to do that. That was originally one of the first reasons why I stuck with PlayStation. Not only that, when the first PlayStation came out, the first Xbox didn't exist. So when the second PlayStation came out and the first Xbox came out, I was already used to Sony PlayStation, their Sony Walkmans and all that. I was just like, I'll just stick to Sony. I had nothing against Xbox. I've owned every Xbox. I just personally don't like them for some of their shortcomings that they have, but now I'm getting off topic. My point is you may or may not be as tolerant to some of the shortcomings of this game, but I'm here to tell you that despite the fact that I had to start all over again, that the AI is dumb as a bag of rocks when they're driving. Nowhere else are they stupid, as I highlighted and proved in the very beginning. And then had that one that was like, oh, I don't think I could fit here. I guess I'll just turn around and go back home. I'll try again tomorrow. Like, if you could look past that, which for me, I'm able to do it. I think, honestly, this is a great game. I call this a paragon that is in the making. So it's essentially, as the expression goes, it's a diamond in the rough, as was Generation Zero, Witcher 3, and a plethora of other games that came before it. They got patched, they got taken care of, and it ended up being a gem. Look at Cyberpunk. I never doubted for a minute when we went through that fiasco that they were going to rectify the BS that they put us through, and boy, did they ever deliver. Look at No Man's Sky. A lot of times these developers, they're pressed for time. They don't have a lot of time. And yes, sometimes they lie. I'm not making excuses for that.
Yep, I'll walk it off.
But a lot of them, in the end, they don't abandon their game. They still support it. They're still going strong. Generation Zero was also one of the worst games I started off with. It was absolutely ridiculous. I'd run around with my gun, and it would auto-lock aim hard on dead corpses. I couldn't even shoot the enemies that were alive in front of me. Now it's one of the best games of all time. Same thing with Days Gone. That thing was a buggy, glitchy piece of crap. But this is a common trend across all studios, for the most part. Some studios have better reputation than others. Like I said, I'll argue Rockstar is pretty good. Square Enix is pretty good. So yeah, but I want to remain overall positive and just say that as long as you're not incredibly hypersensitive to some of these nuances that I've described, I think honestly you're going to enjoy yourself. Plus, if you have the Ubisoft Plus subscription and you're on PC, I don't think it works on console. I don't think it does at all, actually. Even if you have a crappy computer, just put it on loan and give it a shot. Try it out. I think you might be surprised. I think where most people hate on the game, like actually just shit on the game, they're allowed to. That's their thought. Don't shit on those people for that. They're allowed to have their own voices. I don't think they're still a valid reason to hate on the game for the average person. So this game actually didn't get well received by like Eurogamer, like a 2 out of 5, and a couple other people gave them like a really low score. And again, they're allowed to do that. That is how they feel. But some of the complaints that they were doing...
Hey, here's what I got.
I do skip this because I've already been through this. You don't really have too much to worry about. By the time the game officially comes out, we already got the day one update now. The game is running smoother. I had to start over. That's going to be a small fraction of people of the populace that buy this game.
Is it that obvious?
I think you're gonna be fine. I really, really do. So, even with all those things that I
That's
stated,
okay. Neither am I.
I would still technically recommend the game. Maybe a cautious recommend, but you have very little to lose, especially if you do the subscription and you opt in for like $13 or whatever it is, American, play the game for a month. You'll find out if you want to keep it, buy it. I mean, like I said, I wasn't going to buy this game because I kept going by what everybody else was saying. Then I plunged in. I took the plunge. I actually bought the game. I had, like I said, went through the bullshit, yet somehow the positives, even though it may not seem like I highlighted a lot of positives, the very few that I may have spoken of, for me, trump all those negatives, even if the negatives list seems to be kind of big. Also because a lot of those negatives are now gone, for the most part. Little things like the person turning around deciding to go back home. That's not what I would consider game breaking. It may be a little immersion breaking. Maybe she forgot something. Role play it. Role play it. She forgot her purse at home. She forgot her debit card. I don't know. Okay? The person that crashed into the other one. Okay? DUI. Driving under the influence. Just role play that shit. And I find you'll be able to better handle those one-off situations that, to me, I'll still argue aren't really that immersive breaking. I'm done ranting. I know I didn't cover a lot. This is why I don't really like making these videos, because I never really know how to non-convolutedly express my thoughts without a script and share bullet point things that are both good, that are both bad, and try to balance it so that it doesn't look like it's a one-sided review. Unless it deserves to be a one-sided review. Again, this is... like I said, it's a new technology, those duster floating bikes. Maybe nobody's used to handling them yet, and that's why everybody's crashing into each other, so it seems like sometimes. I'm having fun. Thumbs up if you liked the video. It does greatly help support the channel with the algorithm and trying to make me more relevant in the search results when people are looking shit up online. And if you didn't like the video, that's fine. Go ahead. Give it a thumbs down. I'll bend it in half, twist it, break it off in your ass. Throw it in one of those storage bins on one of those riders, and you'll never see your thumb again. They'll fly themselves off a cliff and you won't find it. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, obviously, that would be like pretty amazing now, wouldn't it, for me? Maybe not for you. I wouldn't recommend it personally. I wouldn't subscribe to a guy like me. I got enough of dealing with myself. I don't want somebody else like me. That would be great. But if not, thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care. Perhaps I'll see some of you in the next one. Maybe you watched this video, but yet you've played the game yourself, which might be odd, unless you were just curious to hear me rant about absolutely nothing. If you have played the game, or you're thinking of playing the game, or you haven't played the game, but you still have some thoughts about the game, share with me what you think about the game. I would be curious to hear your feedback. Be as negative or as positive as you want. I never understood dunking on people. Oh, he's being positive. He's a kiss ass. He's a shill. Oh, he's negative. Oh, he's just a negative bastard. Like, you can't win. You really can't. Like I said, I got dunked on hard on Reddit. Like, minus 20 dislikes. It was crazy. I couldn't even share that. I was annoyed with the whole online thing in the beginning. Hope you got some insurance on that. All right. Bye for now.